on an all-new Dr. Phil. Stephen Avery's fiancé.
I'm agitated because I haven't heard from Stephen. I can't do this anymore.
But then a surprise phone call.
Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my God.
From the convicted killer himself.
Why do you want to marry Lynn?
I'm in love with her. Everything is different with her.
I want to give you the opportunity to answer this question. Did you murder Teresa Halbach? Let's do it.
Good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, yesterday we met Lynn Hartman, the 53-year-old legal secretary engaged to marry notorious convicted killer Stephen Avery from the hit Netflix documentary Making a Murderer. Here's what she had to say about her innocent teddy bear in an exclusive interview yesterday.
Another case that is fascinating the country right now. It's a murder in Wisconsin featured in the wildly popular Netflix documentary called Making a Murderer.
The documentary makes the case that a man serving life in prison is actually innocent.
Stephen Avery became engaged to this beautiful, statuesque blonde who he began talking to earlier this year.
I watched the documentary, and I concluded that he was set up. The state of Wisconsin saw Stephen Avery as a disposable person. I was in the middle of a divorce, and I kind of felt disposable myself. I wrote a letter that night, and a couple of weeks later, he wrote me back.
What was your reaction when you got the letter?
I was speechless. I got a letter from Stephen Avery.
You've light up when you talk about him, so this relationship obviously built, right?
It did. Within the first month, he was telling me he knew that he wanted me to be his wife. He saved my life.
What did he do that saved your life?
He said things that made me feel needed and wanted. It gave me a new direction. When I first saw him, he looks like the sweetest little teddy bear I've ever seen in my life. It was just like magic. And he grabbed my hands, and we sat at the table, and we cried. Just a second. I've been scrutinized, I've been attacked, I've been cyberbullied. What is the story on her? Something just doesn't add up. Supporters, they're wondering, who's this bimbo? Who's this skull digger? It hurts deeply.
Did it get to the point where you thought about stopping the relationship and just moving on?
Yes. My ex-husband was a police officer, and now I'm seeing a convicted murderer in a prison.
So they think the pendulum is swung? I'm not going to be here. I'm going to go to the other side.
Yeah, maybe I had an aneurysm
I've been
or something.
with the cop. I'm going to go with the criminal.
Yeah.
Bad boys, bad boys.
Yeah.
Okay. You picked a ring?
I have.
Have you picked a dress?
I did pick a dress. Oh, my God. I can't believe this.
It's kind of a Cinderella situation.
I fell in love right off the bat.
You did finally get to meet him in prison. Describe the first time you met.
The first time I met him, I was brought into the prison, assigned a table where the visitation would take place, and waited about 15 minutes for them to go back and bring him in. And when they brought him in, he had his back to me. He was filling out a form so that we could get our pictures taken that day together. And I knew it was him from the back, and I thought, he's not 5'5" like I thought. He's about 5'2". Oh, First thing I noticed. And then he turned around, and he smiled at me, and it was like magic. It was, the chemistry was there. He walked by me, and he continued to smile as he took the picture document to the podium, to the guard. And he came over, and we gave each other a hug and a kiss, and we held hands and sat down and cried. Tears of joy, tears of happiness, tears of sorrow.
So it was not a disappointment when you met him in person.
No.
It was good. It met your expectations, all the things that... Because when you meet somebody, you either have chemistry or you don't.
Well, it was different than what I have ever looked for in a man before. Very different.
Right.
Completely different, actually. But he was so innocent and so unworldly because he has been incarcerated wrongfully for approximately 30 years. So he hasn't been out into the world, and he's not tainted. He's just so innocent and happy and
how old is he
friendly.
now?
He turned 54 on July 9th.
So he spent over half of his life in jail.
Yes.
How many times have you visited him?
3 times.
You do know that he has been involved in some other crimes that are proven and that he doesn't deny. Mm-hmm. He's been involved in a few burglaries. Mm-hmm. He's burned a cat alive. He ran his female cousin off the road in a fit of rage. I mean, those are things that he's contextualized but not disputed that they happened. Do any of those things bother you?
Yes.
What do you say to yourself about those things?
Well, I say not that age matters, but he was 18 when the cat incident occurred. There were several people present.
That does matter.
There were several people present when that occurred, and he wasn't the only one involved in that. And he didn't think that the cat was going to fall into the fire. They were throwing it over the fire to each other.
Well, that's what I mean about he contextualized it. But
yes.
Playing catch with a cat over a fire.
I didn't agree with it, and I don't agree with it.
It's not.
And it sticks in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
The running of his cousin off of the road, she'd been harassing him and agitating him and actually assassinating his character for some time, to the point where it got him so frustrated that one day he saw her out in front of his house and he drove out there to her. He was just furious about it.
Mm-hmm. My point is, if that's his problem-solving skill set...
Right. I agree.
Then what might he do if he gets frustrated with you?
I agree.
Coming up, should Lynn be concerned about Stephen Avery's violent past? She'll react to shocking claims made by his ex-fiancée next. And later, our exclusive call with Stephen Avery from behind bars. Find out what he has to say about his fiancée, their future, and his case. She says that she lied because she was afraid if she didn't make him look good that he would hurt her. Mm-hmm. What if she's telling the truth? And later, Lynn says she hasn't spoken to Stephen Avery in 3 days, and he's on the line right now. Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my God.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I could not find my daughter for 9 years.
Dad's fighting to see his own child
Now he's trying to take her away.
because Grandma won't let her go.
He's missed out on first words, first steps. All we want is a chance to know this little girl.
You characterize this as this rotten, no-good rat wants to come in and rip this whole world apart.
I just want to see my daughter, and you're in the way.
I'm not in the way. Your daughter doesn't want to see you.
That's tomorrow.
Lynn says her husband-to-be is innocent, but that's not what his ex-fiancée, Jody, says.
I'm the ex-fiancée, if you want to call it that, of Stephen Avery.
Do you believe Stephen Avery killed Teresa Halbach?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because he threatened to kill me and my family and a friend of mine.
How did he threaten you?
I was in a bath and he threatened to throw a blow dryer in there, and he told me that he'd be able to get away with it.
What was the reason?
He's sick. He'd beat me all the time, punch me, throw me against the wall.
Were you in love with Stephen Avery?
No.
But you stayed for 2 years.
I ate 2 boxes of rat poison just so I could go to the hospital and get away from him.
Did you ever ask him straight out if he killed Teresa?
Yeah.
What did he say?
No.
Did you believe him then?
No.
Why?
Because of the way I know he is.
Capable of murder.
Yeah. Hurting people. He told me once, excuse my language, all bitches owe him. Because of the one that sent him to prison the first time. We all owed him. And he could do whatever he wanted. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A semi-nice person, and then behind closed doors, He's a monster.
Okay. What do you want to say?
Well, I'd like to say that if anybody has an opportunity to watch the documentary, they'll see that Jody Statowski did not say any of those things while she was being filmed. In nowhere of the documentary does she exhibit any type of fear towards him, only love.
Well, she says that she lied to the Netflix documentary team because she was afraid if she didn't make him look good, that he would hurt her.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe that.
Go down a hypothetical road with me for a second. What if she's telling the truth? Just hypothetically.
If she's telling the truth, then I would have to do what I would have to do.
What if he has a bitterness when she says he believes all bitches owe me, they took my life away from me? If that's true, and you put that together with playing catch with a cat over a fire and committing burglaries and showing a general disdain for authority, I mean, breaking the law, would this be something that you would want to be cautious about?
Yes. And the burglaries consisted of $2 in quarters and a six-pack of beer. It wasn't like he broke into a house and burglarized a house. I'm not trying to minimize the crime.
No, but you are rationalizing it.
Yeah, I am. I'm thinking that, again, he's uneducated, and he's was young, very young at the time, 18, and certainly not the kind of thing that I would want my son to do, and I don't believe he ever would do anything like that. But I believe that people deserve second chances and an opportunity to get counseling so that they can learn how to deal with anger issues or problem solving in a better way.
Has he done that, by the way?
He does have a counselor in prison.
All right, well, let's take a break. Coming up, Stephen has been calling Lynn every day since they got engaged, so why has he been radio silent for the past few days? We'll talk about that next.
He usually calls me in the morning, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. I'm feeling agitated and worried because I haven't heard from Stephen today. I can't do this anymore.
And later, I've been told that you want Brad Pitt to play you in a movie. Is that true? Lynn Hartman says she is engaged to marry Stephen Avery, the convicted killer profiled in the Netflix documentary, Making a Murderer. Lynn says Stephen told her he loved her during their very first phone call. She says they talk on the phone 2 to 3 times a day, and Stephen calls her Mrs. Avery. But is their love already on the rocks? Here's what happened yesterday when Lynn was waiting for Stephen to call.
I'm feeling agitated and worried because I haven't heard from Stephen today. Our communication usually starts first thing in the morning. He calls up and we talk about what we're going to do for the day, and once that 30 minutes is up, he generally calls back. We have another conversation. Usually the prison only allows him to have one phone call, but most of the time he sneaks in an extra call to me. When I haven't heard from him, I know that he's had to use that time to either call his attorney or call his mother. I need him to give me a call, but I can't get a message to him. He usually calls me in the morning, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. Am I interested in continuing on with this engagement with Stephen Avery? Absolutely not. Not at this point. I love him, and I wish him the best. I know Kathleen will get him exonerated. And I'll remain a friend. I'll never say a bad word about him. I know he's innocent, but I can't do this anymore.
He's on the phone now, calling from Waupun Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my God.
How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
Well, I am here with your fiance. Say hello.
Well, hello, honey.
Hi.
Hi. So, how you been doing?
I've been doing good, waiting for your phone call.
Just got a chance.
Okay.
Yeah. She's been quite anxious to hear from you, so I'm really glad that you're calling, and she's tickled to hear from you.
Well, it's all right, you know. I think I got the right one. I feel pretty lucky to have her.
Thank you.
She certainly is telling us that she is head over heels in love with you. So tell me about the first time you met her, Stephen.
With all the pictures that I had at first, what she sent me, everything went into place. And I was very happy. It was beautiful. You know, I loved what I seen. You know, the pictures were kind of, you know, I felt that way with a couple pictures, and it felt right, and it seemed like my life was coming back together, you know.
Yeah.
So when I seen her, you know, it took a little bit, and, you know, then I had to ask her if she'd marry me, which she said yes, and I was happy.
So why do you want to marry Lynn?
Because I'm in love with her. I haven't been in love my whole life, like how I felt about Lynn.
Yeah.
You know, everything is all different with her. It's real deep down, and everything that you're looking for is all right there.
You get letters all of the time, but is this the woman? You've never loved any of these other women. This is the one that you want to marry, and this is the one you love, none of the others?
No, I don't love the other one. I had the other one on my wall, and this one day, it felt like I was cheating on her. So I had to take them down and put them away and just put her up. You know, so I just got her up and I got her up, and that's all I got up there now.
Yeah. So when do you want the wedding to be? Will you marry? Will you do it behind bars, or do you guys want to wait until you're out of prison?
Well, I kind of want to wait until I'm out, which I don't think it's going to be too long. You know, so it's going to be probably right around the corner. But even if it did take a little longer and everything planned out right, you know, I'll marry in here, you know, if it's not that long, you know.
Right. So we were just hearing from your ex-fiancée, Jody, who was saying that you were abusive to her and that she was scared for her life, and Lynn says that she doesn't believe that. What do you say about her saying that you were abusive to her and that she had to eat rat poison to get away from you?
That says it all in a nutshell.
That's all false information. She said she ate rat poison, and I didn't believe her. And so then she did it right in front of me, and then I believed her, and I panicked a little bit and had her puke, and then I called my sister over and see what I should do. Then I took her to the hospital. You know, and she's a good person, but she don't drink, you know. But otherwise, once she got some alcohol in her, she's kind of terrible.
So Lynn has nothing to worry about as far as you being abusive or violent with her, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's 100% correct.
Okay. I want to give you the opportunity to answer this question direct for everyone in America. Just straight up, did you murder Teresa Halbach? Your nephew Brendan's conviction has been overturned, and since that conviction was used in the case to convict you, what's the latest with your case?
A civil authority has issued child abduction emergency for the following counties/areas. Maine, at 3:22 p.m. on October 4th, 2016 effective until 4:22 p.m. State Police, working with Augusta Police, have issued an Amber Alert for a 3-year-old missing Augusta girl, who is in the company of Augusta woman. The missing girl is 3-year-old Lenore Wilson, who is 30 inches tall and weighs 30 pounds with blonde hair. She is with Fatima Gassentainer, who goes by the nickname of China. She is a 26-year-old tall, slender, black woman, who occasionally cares for the child. The two were last at an apartment house at 26 Sewell Street in Augusta during the night, when police and teams were called to attend to a medical emergency of the child's mother, who was taken to the hospital. China also may be in the company of her boyfriend, who goes by street name Dollar, and both are from New York. There is no information on whether the couple has access to a vehicle. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of the child or the two adults should call 911, or the Augusta Police Department 207-620-8383.
We got enough of everything else around. We just want to close the doors.
Well, tell me what it's like for you in prison right now. The fact that you've gotten so much notoriety and the fact that you're actually a very famous individual in America right now, has this caused you any problems in prison, and how are you treated on a day-to-day basis?
Well, they treat me pretty good, and then they see the other stuff. I'm engaged, Lynn and all of that, and they tell me congratulations, and you only got about maybe 2 or 3 of them, want to, say something bad, but otherwise it's good. I think my life is back on track, so.
I've been told that you want Brad Pitt to play you in a movie. Is that true?
Yeah, I think you'd be good for that.
Well, I'll tell him that we talked and that you want him to play you. How's that?
Yeah, sure, that'd be good.
All right, good. Yeah. Listen, are you allowed conjugal visits in the prison at this point?
Not really, when we can have sex, and all of that.
He's allowed visits, but not conjugal.
Your ex, Sandy, who I've talked to, very nice lady, thinks that Lynn is in this for the fame. What do you think?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think Lynn is kind of where, she had it rough going, and I came in the picture, and it made her happy, and it made me happy. And I think God put us together. How does your family feel about your relationship with Lynn? My dad likes her. My brothers, I think, like her a lot.
You haven't called Lynn for a few days. How come?
Well, it was hard to get the phone, but I figured she was busy, doing all of this stuff, so I figured I'd give her a little time, I ain't no hurry.
Yeah, I was just trying to give you a little cover there, buddy. She was kind of wondering where the hell you'd been.
Yeah, I miss her every second of the day.
I wanted to talk to you, and I hope that you can call me a little later.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that?
Probably after supper.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, there's a determined look on her face. I can tell you. You can't see her, but I can. There's a determined look on her face. She wants you to call her later.
Yeah, I know.
Anything you want to say to Lynn before we go?
Miss her. I love her. And I figured having my future all the way to the end.
All right, Stephen. Well, thank you for calling, and you call her after dinner tonight, okay?
All right. I will.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephen. All right, so long.
All right, you have a good one, then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. Well, there you go. You got to talk to him. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Next, she introduced her mom to the Netflix documentary that led her to her future husband. Lynn's daughter is here, and we'll talk to her after the break.
I definitely don't agree with some of the choices that he made.
Does his violent past concern you? Would you have Stephen around your child?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Grandma refuses to let him near his own daughter.
All we want is a chance to know this little girl.
I just want to see my daughter.
Your daughter doesn't want to see you.
That's tomorrow.
My family has had mixed reactions towards Stephen. When I got my first letter from Stephen, I quickly drove down to my mom's house and I said, I got a letter from him. I got a letter from him. She says, are you sure you want to do this? The first time I received a phone call from Stephen Avery while I was at my brother's house, his reaction was, who are you talking to? And I told him I'm talking to Stephen Avery. He goes, why? And my relationship with my brother went downhill from that point forward. My cousin, who is one of my closest friends, won't even talk about Stephen Avery with me. My daughter has been my cheerleader throughout this whole process. She reminds me that Stephen has really brought me back to life.
Okay, well, we're back with Lynn, a legal secretary who surprised even herself when she fell in love with a man behind bars. And this wasn't just any old criminal. It's making a murderer's Stephen Avery. Now, there are members of her family who just are not happy about it at all. Lynn's daughter, Camelia, introduced her mom to Stephen's story. And I'm so glad you're here.
Thank
You're
you.
not one of the family members that objects to this, correct?
No, absolutely not.
You introduced your mom to the documentary because you just thought it was interesting. You weren't introducing her to the documentary in a matchmaking sort of way. You had no idea this was in the cards, correct?
Definitely not, no. I did not foresee that taking place.
Right. Were you surprised when you heard that she was actually taking the time to write a letter to Stephen Avery?
No, because I kind of also felt compelled, you know, after watching the documentary to send some sort of support. So when she said she wanted to, you know, it was no surprise to me because I feel like probably everyone felt that way after seeing it.
Were you surprised when she got an answer back?
Yes, she called me. She was ecstatic. She says, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You won't believe what I got in the mailbox.
Right. Did she read you the letter? Mm-hmm. And what'd you think?
I couldn't believe it either. I was just so happy for her. And it was the first time that I had seen her that happy in a long time. So.
Yeah. So what was your reaction when things got romantic?
I was supportive from the beginning. I mean, I felt the same way probably a lot of people did after watching it, that he was obviously innocent. And so that didn't alter my reaction to, you know, the fact that he's in prison didn't make me worried because I believe he's innocent. And so I was happy.
Did you have any concerns about the fact that she was kind of not finished with her feelings about a previous long-term relationship?
No.
Before she got into this relationship?
In fact, I was encouraging it because she was going through such a difficult time.
Does his violent past concern you? Because there is a violent past that he doesn't contest that would not be things you would look for on the resume of a mate.
You know, I definitely don't agree with some of the choices that he made as a younger person, but at the same time, I mean, even my slate is not clean. You know, so I can relate to an extent. When you're young, you make choices that you probably wouldn't do otherwise, and so I don't worry about those things.
Have you met Stephen?
I've spoken with him on the phone.
How'd that go?
Really good. Yeah, he's very nice.
Are you concerned about two different worlds? Your mother being highly educated, very articulate, Stephen being uneducated, spending most of his life in prison, and not really knowing very much about your mother or what her expectations might be for a mate?
Well, I think he definitely knows now what her expectations are. But no, I'm a firm believer in opposites attract. I think that they even each other out really well.
Would you have Stephen around your child?
Yeah.
No concerns whatsoever?
No.
Look, I have a lot of thoughts about this relationship. I'm not sure that Lynn wants to hear all of them, but I'm going to be a voice of reason here. And I'm just going to put some things on the table for her to consider. We'll be right back. There are common characteristics among women who fall in love with people in prison. And you can tell me whether you meet any of these criteria. Hey, Dr. Phil here. We're ready to start the show, but we're waiting on you. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil show, call 323-461-PHIL or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Lynn Hartman became engaged to Stephen Avery, the convicted killer who was profiled on Netflix, Making a Murderer. I want to play devil's advocate. I want you to consider some things in your thinking. Or do you have a dialogue with your family members that are challenging your thinking here?
Yes.
What's their reasoning in telling you that they think you shouldn't do this?
My mom's worried for me because there are a lot of people involved in this, who've become involved in this, and she thinks that I could pick up a stalker along the way, or I could have somebody find out where I live and end up at my door.
Well, listen, I've been doing this forever, and marriages, certainly subsequent marriages, are a challenge under the best of circumstances. And when you look at this, would you agree this wouldn't be considered the best of circumstances?
Yes.
If he's guilty of this, this was a very sadistic, psychopathic, horrible thing to do. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that? I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying...
The theory of it is...
Yeah, whoever did this...
The theory of it is...
Whoever committed this crime is a monster. Can we agree with that?
Absolutely. If it is the crime.
Pardon me?
I don't even believe they found her body yet. That's my feeling about it.
Okay, well, if what is hypothesized as happened, it would be a brutal crime.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Okay. And he is certainly a suspect in that he's been convicted. And there are those that think he's been wrongly convicted. I happen to be one of those. Mm-hmm. I think he's been wrongly convicted. That doesn't mean I think he didn't do it. I don't know whether he did or whether he didn't. I just don't think he has had a fair trial.
I understand.
And if they can convict him with a fair trial, then fine. If they can't, then they need to turn him loose. But I do not think he is properly incarcerated at this time. Mm-hmm. Now, just hear this, reject it if you want to. There are common characteristics among women who fall in love with people in prison. And the truth is, it's not just random. There are common characteristics among them, and I'm going to write a few of these down. And you can tell me whether you think you meet any of these criteria.
Okay.
Now, first off, these women are damaged. And when I say damaged, I mean mentally, emotionally, physically, all types of things. Do you think that would be characteristic of you?
That describes the situation completely.
Yeah. Also, they tend to approach these situations as though the love is fantasy. It's fantasy-based. They're able to do that because you haven't had to pick up his dirty socks.
Right.
You haven't had to wash his dirty underwear.
Yeah.
You haven't had to be there when he won't get a job and sits on the couch and you're the only one working. It's all fantasy.
Yeah.
There is this aspect that you have to admit is a Cinderella aspect of this love. In fact, you said, he saved my life. You said you were brokenhearted, and even from prison, he saved you. And you have to agree, we've talked about things that he has done, and boy, do you fit this one chapter and verse. But you rationalize the things that he's done. It's like, well, he was young. Well, he didn't mean to. Well, they were just playing catch with the cat.
I'm convincing myself
over the
that
fire,
way.
and he was young. And, well, you know, she was saying bad things about him. And
I agree.
And every one of those things is characteristic of you.
Yes, it is. I rationalize it so that I have to rationalize it in order to continue pursuing it, because if I really stop and think about it, I might change my mind.
There's one more thing that's very important, and I'm going to put this outside the box. You can decide whether this fits or not. And this is hybristophilia. Now, I'm not saying this fits you, but there is a diagnosis. There is a category of women that are attracted to men that involve danger. Men that are in prison, men that commit crimes. It adds an element of that bad boy excitement.
I'm not attracted to that at all.
I hope not.
I'm not attracted to any part of the fact that he's in prison or the fact that he's a bad boy and a convicted criminal.
That's why I wrote it outside the box.
Thank you.
But it's just something that you have to think about. Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I have a very threshold question for Lynn. We'll be right back. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Well, I'm back with Lynn and Camelia, and we're talking about an engagement to Stephen Avery. And do you have any idea or projection of when he might get out of prison?
I do. We're anticipating December of this year.
I've spent a lot of my life in the litigation arena.
Mm-hmm.
That's highly unlikely.
Okay.
And I can tell you it's just because your tax dollars at work, the wheels of justice turn really slow.
Even when there's been DNA exoneration, they walk out the gate that day.
Well, you can hope.
Yeah, that's what our hope is.
I was reading in the discussions that you've had that one of the things that he would like to do is to get out and for the two of you to just go off into the woods to live quietly and alone. Would you feel comfortable doing that?
No.
Thank you. And I tell you why. I'm not asking you to throw him under the bus, but I am saying don't abandon common sense. You have to understand that giving everything that surrounds this, this is a high-risk candidate. And if there is a 5% chance, 10% chance, 15% chance, 2% chance that he's guilty of this crime as described, Would you want your mother to go off into the woods with this person?
No.
And if you say there is zero chance that he's guilty of this crime, you are naive.
I'll say that when the DNA comes back.
I can tell you that if he is completely exonerated of this crime, there is enough violence in his past that if you were my sister, you wouldn't go off in the woods with this guy.
I wouldn't want to go off into the woods with any guy, but I understand where you're coming from also.
People tend to resort to physical violence when they run out of socially acceptable ways to express themselves. And you have to admit that he would run out of socially acceptable ways to express himself much sooner than you would.
Yes.
And we know, we have seen that he resorts to a problem-solving set that is more physical than verbal. And we know that there have been independent reports from people that don't even know each other that suggest that he has resorted to violence. You cannot dismiss that, and therefore you have to protect yourself. And listen, you guys can get into romance and fantasy and all you want. Protect your mother. Be a voice of reason. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to, I'm on your side here.
I feel the same way.
I'm on your side here, that's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got to stop. I want to thank my guests for being here today. There will certainly be more to this story, and as you heard earlier, Stephen is working with his attorney to prove his innocence and to get out of prison. But I would like to remind everyone that behind this case is a woman who lost her life. Whoever is the culprit, we want to pray that she will find the justice that she deserves, whatever that may be, and whoever the culprit is. We certainly don't want to forget about Teresa Halbach. Thanks for watching.